For more on the situation in the Korean Peninsula, let's bring in Gordon Kang, Senior Analyst at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Mr. Kang. So first up, help us understand what is the gravity of Mr. Kim's recent declaration, which also includes the shutting down of agencies responsible for inter-Korean affairs. Is it just rhetoric, or, has the stakes been sort of raised? And I guess more broadly, what are the implications this will have on regional stability?
Yeah, I think to start with, these changes quite clearly signify efforts from North Korea to solidify South Korea as a foreign antagonist. This possibly creates tactical and strategic space, not just for their military, but also within the social, political, domestic discourse for North Korea to work with, to distance both Koreas and treat South Korea simply perhaps as an external state to account for without the complexities of unification that's involved. I think it does add to the level of insecurity and military movements between both Koreas at the northern limit line. We have seen South Korea strongly react to North Korea's artillery drills, ballistic missile tests, etc. And the rhetoric from both Koreas are also increasingly sharper over the past year too. So what this could entail is that there is a higher likelihood or higher possibility rather that there's an inadvertent moment where both sides trigger the other into hot conflict. So ultimately, I think there is a little more cause for concern that there is a slight increase in the probability of hot conflict, however, on the Korean Peninsula. But however, I think it is important for observers to recognize as well that manufacturing crises are key aspects of North Korea's foreign policy. In North Korea's case, historically, antagonism has been a key area of their discourse. US, Japan, and South Korea all have constituted, across various phases of their history, unique structural aspects of North Korea's foreign policy and motivates a certain form of societal affirmation in that respect. So this has not been lost on the North Korean studies field. Scholars have contended that essentially engagement is unlikely to go anywhere if the people who the DPRK are negotiating with constitutes the legitimacy of the Kim regime.
So, Mr. Kang, I just want to bring in what the South Korean... Sorry, I just want to bring in what the South Korean president here, he has used some strong words himself. He basically warned of retaliation on a multiplied scale. So in your words, what are you reading into that in terms of the kind of strategic moves that we can anticipate from South Korea in response to these rising tensions?
Yeah, I think it's something that is expected for South Korea, or especially South Korea under the Yoon administration, to respond with. What I think we should be careful about is understanding where our limits are, and not inadvertently escalating conflict on the northern limit line or on the Korean Peninsula with such reactions to each other's actions.
We've also got, the traditional allies of obviously Russia and North Korea. We've seen how they've been strengthening their ties, in the past year, including the possibility that Pyongyang's been supplying weapons to Russia in the Ukrainian war. Is there that sense that that North Korea is just increasingly bold in the international arena because, it has the backing of Russia, for instance?
Yes, I think broadly speaking, North Korea does recognize that this is an opportune moment to develop its, for example, ballistic missile capabilities, and also to work with Russia on such sensitive areas, contributing to the Ukraine war, for example. And I think this positive development of relations with Russia and with China as well does help to reinforce their commitment to their actions on the Korean Peninsula, despite the reinforcement of deterrence that has been applied from the relationship developed from the US, ROK, and Japan alliance. So I think with regards to Choi Son-hee's visit to Russia, it would be, we still await, the results of what that means, but it is a significant development considering that North Korea has been relatively isolated from the external world since the COVID-19 outbreak.
Now, as you've mentioned, this trip, this official visit to Moscow by the North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Soon-hui, do you have, what are they going to be talking about? I mean, what are some of the outcomes of this particular diplomatic engagement, or is it just a show on the international stage that they have a representative visiting there?
I think there is more. It is more than just a show of having a representative visit. I think a key area of discussion will be possibly President Putin's visit to North Korea. Putin did accept an invitation to visit when Kim Jong Un and his officials, which included Choi Soon-hui, visited Russia back in September 2023. So I think a visit by President Putin would be a significant step towards the development of relations for Russia and North Korea, and we might possibly see North Korea then maybe increase its contribution to the Ukraine war, but more importantly, have deeper relations, economic relations, even people-to-people exchanges with Russia as well. Considering that Russia actually has been invited to for tour packages actually in North Korea in I believe February this year. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got some points there, really good points there. Thanks very much, Gordon Kang, Senior Analyst at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies.